was Texas, it was Tennessee. It was what I had coming to me.
Alrighty, folks. Happy New Year. First show of the new year. Would like to welcome you into the Texas to Tennessee podcast. To my left is Soul Gravy, doing all the magic over there on the board. My name's Steve, and we are lucky enough to have Isaac Rudd from Isaac Rudd and the Revolvers tonight joining us. Welcome in, Isaac. Good to see you.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, awesome, man. Appreciate it.
Yeah.
Maybe just to get started, if you wouldn't mind taking a couple minutes and giving us a little bit about your backstory. We might have some folks out there this is the first time they've been introduced to you, so we want to make sure and give them a proper introduction.
Yeah, definitely. My name's Isaac Rudd. I come from a small town called Kirkland, Indiana. It's about right center of the state, closer to Illinois. And I didn't start playing music until I went to college down in Indianapolis and just skipped class. My sister bought me a guitar, and I locked myself in my room on YouTube and GCD and learned all those songs, and after that, I wanted to record some songs, so I went and did that with Mellencamp's guys, actually, which was really cool. And I was 21, but that was my start into music, and found a band, started that up, and we grew to a 6-piece. Did that for 6 years and put out some songs that you'd hear on Spotify and iTunes and all that. And then, that's how the music started. That's how it had been. And come from a big family and just living in Kokomo, Indiana now.
Okay.
So,
Cool.
Yeah, after that, it was a whole new ball game, putting together a band and dropping out of college. But I'd say it was worth it.
Awesome.
It's fun.
Good. Well, one of the things we like to do is we like to take where our artists are from, and then kind of identify some famous people from that area. So, you are the most famous person from Kirkland that I could find.
Right.
So, congratulations! It's pretty
You
cool.
You don't know my Uncle Barry though, and Uncle Mark.
Oh.
They're probably the most famous. But
All right, shout out to Uncle Mark and Uncle Barry. There is a gentleman by the name of Nathan Kirk, and that he was the person that settled the town. And from what I can gather, you're about 45 minutes from Indy. Is that right? Okay.
Yep.
All right. Well, bear with us as I'm gonna quiz Soul Gravy on some famous people from Indianapolis, since that's the next biggest town. So all right. So this list is just for you. I think you're gonna knock it out of the park.
Okay.
Mike Epps. Does that name sound familiar?
It does, and I don't know why.
He's a comedian.
Okay.
All right.
I didn't know who that was.
Brendan Fraser.
Brendan, and that's an actor, right?
Yep, actor. Good job.
Okay. All right. Yeah.
Vivica Fox.
That's a model actress.
Yeah. Yep. For sure. Joyce DeWitt. This one's a little harder, but I think it might be in your wheelhouse.
I'm gonna have to start doing my homework too. That way I can, I can
not as
be
much
ready
fun
for
if you do
this.
the homework.
I don't like answering these questions right after dinner too. I'm all slow and sluggish, and then there's got pop quizzes.
Try to keep you fresh.
Yeah, I don't know who you said, Joyce. I don't know who that is.
That
I don't
was,
think.
Yeah, Joyce DeWitt was Janet Wood from Three's Company, the brunette.
Okay. Mm-hmm.
Shout out to her. Steve McQueen.
Yeah, I've heard of him.
Know him. Here's a little tougher one. Jeremy Spencer.
Don't know.
He's a drummer from Five Finger Death Punch.
Okay. All right.
This one I feel confident you're going to get. Mike Conley Jr.
Yeah, he was a former Grizzly.
Yeah, NBA.
Yep. He's one of the ones that had to leave the Grizzlies that I still really like. So yeah.
Nice.
He's a likable guy.
Got a few other athletes. I'll let you guess the sport. Jeff George.
He's football.
Yep.
He was quarterback for the Raiders and the Colts.
Yep.
I believe.
I think you're correct. Yeah. Gordon Hayward.
Basketball player.
Yep.
It's always hurt. He's hurt a lot.
he has been sadly hurt a lot.
Yeah.
Terry McLaurin,
I'm not sure about that.
he's a wide receiver for the
Terry.
Washington Commanders. Are they the
Yep.
Commanders?
Yes.
Washington Football Club, whatever. Oscar Robertson,
Yeah.
the Big O.
A Hall of Fame basketball player.
All right, this one's a little tougher.
Uh-oh.
These next couple are a little tougher. Kenny Irwin.
It's a race car driver.
There you go. Nice.
Hey.
Passed in 2000 on the track, sadly. Steve Ellis.
I'm not sure about that one.
He's co-founder of Chipotle.
Huh.
I'd not.
Staying in the fast food area, Jared Fogle.
I don't know.
He was the guy that lost all the weight and then got in trouble.
Oh,
Subway
yeah,
guy.
Yeah.
David Letterman.
Yeah. I think
Yeah.
wasn't he on the David Letterman show?
He was.
That's good.
Babyface. Do you know Babyface?
Yeah, I'm familiar with his work from my youth.
R&B producer. A couple other pretty good ones to finish. I got 4 to finish up with.
Okay.
John Hyatt.
Yeah. He's pretty good.
Not bad, right?
Not
Got
right.
2 former vice presidents. You want to take a run at either one of those?
No.
All right, Mike Pence and Dan Quayle.
Okay.
And then the last person is Kurt Vonnegut. So it's Slaughterhouse-Five, famous author. Anyway, books,
Okay.
whatever.
Oh, books. Yeah.
Anyway, a pretty impressive list. Shout out to Indianapolis.
Yeah.
Thanks for indulging us, Isaac. This is
No problem. I think basketball is a lot of the famous people around there.
race cars and basketballs, right?
Yep.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
All right. Well, we're going to get into the really weird questions now. So we call this one we call it the pie question.
Uh-oh.
And I'm going to give you a pie, and we're going to divide it up into 4 sections. So it has to do with music. So the first section is songwriting. The second piece of pie is recording. The third piece is performing. And then the fourth piece is the business, everything that goes into running the business.
Right.
So I guess first off, I'd like to know where you kind of naturally gravitate towards any of those slices.
I would definitely say performing. I'd probably say performing. And Chris Edwards, he had mentioned, earlier we were talking on the phone, and he said, you just change in front of people in a good way, on stage. It's a personality that you kind of just got to have to put out the kind of rock and roll that we want to do, and I think that's what I'd gravitate towards.
And is that something that you knew like right out of the gate when you first started playing music, that you're like, oh, this is my deal?
Not exactly. I say I was more confident at a late night karaoke bar than I was when I first started music, but I do a lot of open mics and that kind of gained my confidence until I got a band behind me. I think that's when I really felt, you feel the instruments behind you and you just get into music, and that's, I think, probably when it started.
Yeah, it's I would imagine, I don't know this to be fact, but having all that support makes it I don't know, adds a layer of confidence, maybe.
Absolutely.
Is that fair to say? Okay.
Absolutely.
Well, it's a team aspect too. Yeah.
I've had my bass player with me since I started playing music since I started the band for 9 years now almost. So to have, someone as good as him, holding down the low end, and we had our drummer who they'd played together. We had him for 6 years, and so a lot of the band had been together for 6-7 years before we kind of made it a little smaller, and some of the band members went off and started families and did some other things, got jobs. But
yeah, makes sense. Now, which of the areas do you feel like you spend most of your I guess, which of those 4 areas would you say you feel like you spend most of your time? I'm guessing it's probably not performing, but I mean, that's
definitely songwriting. I tried it. I haven't lately done it as much, but I try to write every day something, whether it's a phrase or a title even. But even if I get a title, I feel something's been accomplished, just some idea.
Right.
So I try to write every day, and most of the time it does turn into a song that day. And yeah, I love writing. I'd say songwriting is probably the next closest slice that I'd go for after performing.
Okay. And then do you prefer to do the songwriting exclusively, or do you work better in, like group settings, or what's your process kind of potentially
I
look like?
Yeah, I always think that my process is weird, which I'm sure it's not as weird as I think it is, but I like to I like to do it by myself, but I like to do it in one go. I don't revise it or anything and then come back to it later. And I think that helps me just get the idea down and know where I'm going. Because honestly, when I'm starting a song, I can hear it the whole way through with what instruments I like, but all I'll have is an acoustic or maybe my electric setup. And so I kind of just have to keep the thoughts in mind and let them change until we get it down with the band.
Makes sense. Does that create any challenges or maybe a unique environment once you go to recording?
Yeah,
You have an idea of where you want to be, and then
it definitely does. And I think working with, the producers I have has been great because they're so good at their job and so good at telling me, that won't sound as good as this, or maybe let's try this, and not letting me get too carried away with my imagination. But yeah, I mean, like I said, it all comes to me, but with the group session stuff, I like doing that. And, I've only written really with a couple people, Alex Williams. We've written a few together, and
nice.
my wife, she's a musician and a beautiful songwriter. So we write and we've written together. But other than that, and then at the writers retreat with Mountain View Talent, Clint Park was there, like we were talking about him earlier. And so just seeing some of those guys and how they do it, it does make me, kind of weird about how I do it. But when I get in the studio, it's definitely a change of pace because I got other people to kind of chime in on it.
Sure, makes sense. One more follow-up, Soul, and then I'll let you have it, I guess. Um, can you tell me a little bit about the indie music scene? I know about, I think I know about, is it Dukes? Dukes. I know about Dukes, and that's about the extent of what I know about other than looking up people from there. I'm not
Yeah.
super familiar with it.
So Dukes is actually where I got my start playing original music. And it was because Dustin, the founder and owner, he passed away. I came to him and just coming to the bar, checking it out, because it used to be a place called the Ice House, and I'd pass it on the way when I was working a beer distribution job, and just would pass it and maybe stop in for a beer. And then one day it was completely different. So I went in there and told him, hey, I've been playing these open mics, but no one wants to let me play original music. And he said, well, you can come play it here, So
Nice.
that was my introduction to Dukes, and Dustin really helped me out there and got me started. And that is, I think, the most important place for independent live music in Indianapolis. And it's grown so much, and the people are beautiful. My wife and I had our wedding reception there. It's a home away from home, really. And but other than Dukes, there's some good clubs, and Hi-Fi Downtown's a good club, and they've got rooms at the Old National Center, the Murat, and some bigger rooms, the Egyptian Room. We played there with Parker McCollum.
Oh, cool.
There's quite a bit of stages. It's a different scene than I've ever seen, though. I think there's a lot of eclectic bands. Jazz Kitchen's a great room.
Okay.
You can see all kinds of different stuff there, but it's I'd say very eclectic.
And do you have a? I know I said that was my last question, Soul. Sorry, but do you have other bands that would be in the area that would maybe you would look at as peers or maybe in the similar genre?
Yeah, there's a few bands. I'm not sure really in Indianapolis, but in throughout the state there are
Okay.
definitely. And there's a lot of bands. Some of the bands, my favorite bands from Indianapolis, aren't country. Where there's a band called Pat and the Pissers, and they are
Great name.
punk rock and in your face, and it's a good show. So
Yeah.
that's a good band there.
Cool. Awesome. All right, Soul Gravy. Sorry.
Well, first, I want to say, dig the Turnpike Troubadours toboggan there.
Oh yeah, they came to Fisher's not too long ago, and my wife and I had tickets since they dropped, so we went and saw them, and that was my first time finally getting to see them.
Ah, very cool.
They came twice, but they canceled. They had to cancel both times. It was during the little hiatus of Felker, but
Gotcha. Who was on the openers at that time? Do you remember?
oh, I just listened to a song of his. And you'd
That's
know him
okay.
too. He plays a harmonica a lot. Um, Tyler Halverson.
Okay.
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
Nice.
yeah.
Yeah, that's cool.
And Trampled with Turtles. Trampled by Turtles.
Yeah.
Fun stuff.
So we kind of mentioned the Alex Williams song "Family Man." Is that was that one that y'all wrote together?
Yep. Yeah, we Alex is a great friend of mine, and we talk a lot, and he came up my way up to Clinton County one day, and I was like, man, you want to go somewhere else to write, and he's like, where? And there's a little place called the Lagoons, and it's just some retention fishing ponds out there with woods around it and some picnic tables. So we went out there and grabbed a 6-pack of Miller Lite and just sat and just kind of started strumming, really. And that song, I think we did that song in about a half hour, and he was happy with it. I was happy with it, and we just hung out.
Nice.
I don't know much about Alex besides the the music, but we've had several people on that have had songs with Alex, like Addison Johnson and just different folks, and he seems to be one of these guys that a lot of people work with for some reason, and I'm guessing it's not because he's an asshole. I'm guessing he must be a really stand-up guy and a talented guy, because it seems like a lot of people are working with him for one reason or another. So
yeah, him and Addison both, man, they're both great dudes. I get to spend a lot of time with them when they come through. Addison plays a checkered flag there in Indianapolis a lot, and that's a great spot to hear music too. They have great shows. I love the owner, Stacy, and anytime Addison's there, I try to make it out. Him and Alex were just there the other night, actually, but I was in New York visiting my sister. So
yeah, that's I'm jealous of Steve's area and all the music that goes there, and then I'm jealous of everybody that I see go through Dukes and all of that stuff. We don't really have that much of a scene here in the Memphis area, but there is a new place opening. I was actually sending him Steve some folks that are coming through town soon. Them Dirty Roses are going to be here in a couple next weekend.
great,
And then several people, really, Cody West and different folks. So I'm glad to see that there's a little bit of an uptick. Hopefully they get supported like they deserve to be. So
yeah.
You mentioned Dukes was one of those places that kind of supported independent music. I guess for outsiders, like as far as in my area, there's not really anywhere that really highlights independent music, first.
Right.
How I guess kind of explain what places like that do to the scene and help you guys.
Yeah, I mean, like you said, you've seen all the people coming through, and just, name after name of great acts, great bands. And when you're kind of in the midst of all that, people that don't know you might look and say, oh, them Dirty Roses just played there, and then here's this band. I'm going to check them out too. And when
I
you
gotcha.
see kind of the larger scale venues, they might just promote, that show that week, or those 3 shows that week. You don't get to see, in Dukes's terms, the whole damn schedule, and they really do a good job of highlighting, who's coming when and who they are, and really let you get a first look at the independent artist before you even know who they are.
Which is, I'm sure, is just usually anyway. I can only speak from the podcast, but it creates like a snowball effect when
Yeah.
when as a fan you meet one person, then you meet another person. It opens doors even as a fan.
Absolutely.
So, which is cool. Did any of that kind of help you decide more? What you want to do, being able to knowing these places existed that you could play your music.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's what, before Dustin had passed, we hung out a lot, and he was kind of filling me in on some of these places, around that I could try to get into. There Carol's Pub in Chicago, and you got Bucks in Nebraska,
Right.
places like that
Hmm.
people might not know about if you don't if you're not familiar with the independent music scene.
It is. It does stand out though, because there you can tell there's certain venues around the U.S. that really take care of. They must take care of independent artists, because the independent artists really seem to love those places.
Yeah, and that's what it's about, because you know we do make our money, selling T-shirts and playing the shows, and when you can go to a spot and be treated like family, not even I'm in Nebraska. I don't know how many miles away from Kirkland, Indiana, but I still felt right at home with, if there would have been 5 people there or the 25, So it's a big deal when venues treat you well and understand that you're, busting your ass, and have been for years to do this.
Who's one more, and who's some folks that you said you've been in this for a little while now? Who's some folks that you've kind of, I'm not necessarily asking you to name drop, but some folks that you've surprised, that when you had those moments like, holy shit, how did I get in this position?
I would definitely say the Parker McCollum gigs were crazy. We played 2 nights with him, one in Indianapolis at the Egyptian Room and one in Akron, Ohio at the Goodyear Theater. And those were both 2,000 sold out. And actually, funny story, we were in Indianapolis, and I had a lot of friends and family in the crowd. And we're down in the green room, and all the band members and their wives and such, and just hanging out. And the guy comes in and goes, "Hey, I just want you to know we sold 1,998 tickets, and we might sell the last 2 at the door." And I went straight to the bathroom and I threw up. I was shaking. I was nervous, but that was kind of a really cool thing, because I got out there and it was good time, good response, fun, and then we did it the next night in Ohio. So that was cool. We've gotten the chance to play a lot of cool festivals with a lot of good acts. We played the Rooster Tail Music Festival last year, and Silverado, one of my favorites. It's always good to see them. Steelwoods, your shirt. I like your shirt. Bands like that, where I grew up listening, not grew up, but got into them before I really could play.
Right.
So it was those are the moments I love. And man, I'm forgetting names left and right.
No, that's cool. As far as I know what you mean, though. You listen to them, and then all of a sudden you're on a card with somebody. It's I'm sure it's all kinds of emotions,
Oh,
being
absolutely.
being proud, being scared, being everything. But
Mostly
yeah,
scared.
mostly scared. Yeah, that's all right, Ty. Well, you got another one? You got some more pie?
Well, I'm out of
Okay.
pie, but I
All
do
right.
have
Damn.
a question. I think you touched on this a little bit in our pre-convo, but can you tell us a little bit about your support team?
Yeah.
Folks that help you get it done.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, we the band consists right now. It's me, my drummer Tim Messer, or my bass player Tim Messersmith, who, like I said, he's been with me for 9 years, and great dude, great. We call him Bass Daddy, just a great bass player, man. And our drummer Mike Carson, he actually was in Nashville for a while doing that, and playing the Broadway scene, and then he got booked on a national tour. He was doing that, and he decided he was coming back to Indy. And when he did, I hollered at him and scooped him back up. So he's
Good
followed
timing.
as
Yeah.
they come. Yeah, and then definitely my wife. I couldn't do this without her. And like I said, she's a musician herself, and she's a beautiful songwriter, beautiful singer. She actually, when we met, I wasn't playing shows. I didn't have a band, and I'd drive her and her band around. So drove them to gigs in Chicago. I drove them to gigs in Iowa, and would just kind of tag along and see how that worked, And so she's a big help. And then we just recently, in the last 4 or 5 months, maybe, been with Mountain View Talent and Chris Edwards, and that's been a huge help, getting us into those independent venues that really care about the artists coming through.
Nice. Well, I
Yeah.
think so. We are about at halftime. Are we ready for a little Geronimo?
Yeah. Yeah. Give us a little heads up on about this song and what it's about, and give us some nuggets on it.
Yeah, so I'm a big history guy, whether it be documentaries or books. I like history, so Geronimo always fascinated me, and it just kind of reminded me just those wild stories you hear of your buddies. So my my phrase that I say at most shows is everybody has a Geronimo in their friend group, and so this is kind of a modern day take on Geronimo, I guess.
All right. Very cool. Here we
Nice.
go then. Isaac Rudd, Geronimo.
That path was a lady in disguise as he chases down the neon. Tough as a battle cry.
I didn't want to cut off the feedback.
We couldn't forget the feedback in the recording.
Yeah, man. So when I was listening to that earlier, the first thing that came to mind, and I don't, just the whole sound reminded me of a Kings of Leon song, or that style. Is that
I,
appropriate?
it is. I think I really like the Kings of Leon. My take has always been I love their music as far as the instruments and everything, but I've always loved the storytelling of country or even the storytelling of the Stones. Rock and roll, just different, painting the picture within the song. And I love the Kings of Leon's lyrics too. It's just more, you know,
Understood.
yeah, kind of more of a story than a saying.
Yeah. No, the theirs is the feel of the song more than it is the actual story of the song. Um, how did the over the chorus? How did that all the voices happen? Uh,
So yeah, my producer on this, Nico Albanese, he's a great musician and producer, engineer, wild drummer. And we were just kind of sitting there, and he said, I think there needs to be like a choral, group behind you. And I said, well, that's great, but there's two of us. How are we going to do it? He's like, well, I know some people. I know some people. So he really orchestrated that, and he did. I mean, he knew some people and got it done. And I was blown away because I was like, I can't do that. You
That
could
was a big
triple my
sound.
voice and put different
Yeah.
shit on. You can never make me sound like that.
yeah, very cool. What were you saying?
Oh, I was just saying it was a big sound, like sonically. That track has a pretty big sound.
Yeah, and
Mhm.
we were definitely going for, a little bigger sound than the previous work we've done, just because that's kind of what it is on stage now.
Mhm.
It is, like I said, we started and we had a six piece. We had drums, bass, electric guitar, another dude who played electric and pedal steel,
Oh wow.
fiddle player, and then myself playing acoustic. So that's how we
Yeah.
started. And we did that for 5, 6 years. And and both the guitar players, they got new jobs, and one had his first baby, and moved and got a bunch more horses, and all this. So everybody has life happen, and so we kind of went down and took a break and went down to a four piece for a while, and I picked up an electric. And after that it was a lot louder but a lot more rock and roll, which I didn't mind. So
Yeah.
Did that just
No,
kind of
it's
naturally happen? That sound change?
definitely naturally, because I had only played um, acoustic. And so when I picked up an electric, I wasn't, you can't play it like you can an acoustic and expect it to sound good. But it definitely came out that way. A little, I'd call it raw.
Understood.
yeah, that's fair.
Understood. Beat the shit out of it, huh?
Yeah.
All right.
Since we are pretty early into the new year, I know everybody, gets weirded out when I ask questions about goals, but any short-term or even longer-term goals that you've spent time thinking about over the last, I don't know, couple of weeks?
I would say no, just getting out and trying to get heard by as many as we can. We love, like I said, we love playing these venues and playing anywhere we can. It's it really is, like we said about the pie, the entertaining part of it, and the I mean, we there's a portion of it we do for ourselves, and
Sure.
but being on stage is definitely a feeling that we all enjoy. Or definitely, the four of us that had been together for 7, 8 years, it's fun. So I think that, and getting in the studio, getting some of these songs that we haven't uh, really put out. We've played some of them out, and but we want to get those recorded well, and really put a great full album together.
I'm going to go backwards a little bit, but where does that last song, where do you foresee that fitting into your set list? Have you thought
That's
about that?
that we actually had been playing it about lasts.
Okay.
Sometimes we'll play that, but I'm a big Snake Farm guy.
Oh,
That's big Ray Wiley Hubbard guy.
yeah.
I've actually got there's a
Oh, nice.
python eating a little mouse wearing a sailor's hat that says Snake Farm. And
Nice.
the third time I saw him, I was standing front row and I held my arm up and I said, I got the tattoo. And he came over and he said, I'm honored if that's the word for it, and walked away. So that's the most Ray Wiley Hubbard thing I've ever heard.
100%. 100%. There's a few stories around here floating around about Mr. Wiley Hubbard. So, yeah,
Hubbard.
always, always excited to hear new ones.
Yeah.
All right. So, you know what? I don't usually ask this question, but I feel like maybe I should ask it more often. Social media, can play a big role in terms of kind of how you communicate your message. Do you have any kind of, I don't know, plan or, here's how I go about doing social media, or what's it look like for you?
I haven't in the past, and business wise, back to the pie, that's probably my least favorite, part of it all.
Sure.
I love playing, I love writing, and just social media has really taken over as far as advertising for your songs and for your,
Show.
like you
Yeah.
said, your image. And I should probably work on that a little more, but I like to stay off of it as much as I can and kind of not worry about it, because a lot of times it turns into a competition, and I always believe competition happens at the bottom and at the top's collaboration. I like, but that's the other good thing about it is I've met a lot of good artists that are now friends just through social media, so it's definitely a double-edged sword. But I think I need to post more videos, more good videos, good content videos of us, our band, just to
Everybody does, right?
yeah, because a lot of times you can post an acoustic video, but then when you come to our show and I don't pick up an acoustic, but maybe a couple songs,
Right.
you might be a little confused. So things like that. But
Yeah.
Yeah, it makes sense. It seems like it's a wacky world for sure, but there's as a consumer, on the consumer side of it, it's pretty easy to sniff through what's authentic and what isn't. And
yeah,
I know there can be a fear from the artist side of, like, I don't want to just continue to jam this stuff down folks' throat and, come across as not being, being something different. I don't know the best way to describe that, but
yeah,
it's definitely a tricky world. So I need to dig into that question more with folks, just because there's a
yeah. And
lot
I've
of
heard,
different opinions.
right. I've heard a lot of people that, I've talked to about it say, oh, make a different video of the same song and just, post them. I'm like, that is one thing that would feel disingenuous by me, just because I couldn't do that. And I think, especially with the amount of songs that I want to put out, the amount of songs we have out, I just kind of want to give everybody a taste of what we do and say, hey,
Right.
come see this live.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
Makes sense.
Yeah. I could see that what you mean. But also as somebody that I've met some of, not necessarily my best, personal best friends, but I've met a lot of really cool people
Oh yeah.
through like you said, through social media. As somebody, like, I'm just a barroom corner musician, but I didn't open up until the encouragement of social media and folks that I met.
Yeah.
So it makes me wonder, like, what would I be doing if I wouldn't have met those people? Or, so I guess my point is there's a lot of good that can come out of putting yourself out there. And I think the negative probably is in our own minds if I
Oh
had to guess,
yeah,
because one the more folks that would get to know you, just in general, would dig. Especially if you had a mixture of both. If you had some lives, would you just playing whatever you wanted to play, and then but those videos they could fall back and check out your whole band,
right.
to let let them know what they're going to see at a show. Um, I it I understand where artists come from, and it's kind of rough to sit in front of your phone and play music when you're used to being
Yeah,
in front of a
and that's
crowd.
and that's what I mean really when I'm saying taking videos. But that's where Chris Edwards has been real helpful. He's got his camera and he's ready to take videos. Whenever you would need them, and that's really what you need
Yeah, that's great.
is
Yep.
somebody to be able to that knows what they're doing and will help you in that aspect. Because me, I can barely take a video on my phone, so I'm not. I'm never taking pictures. I'm always the one, taking somebody else's phone to take a picture. But
Same. All right. Well,
Uh,
that's cool. I do
yeah.
think one of the cool parts from an artist perspective, and I feel like most artists get this, but is the ability to kind of cull your own audience. Finding people that want to rock with you. Like there is something about those. I don't know whether it's the live streams or giving them a peek behind the curtain a little bit. You know, uh, I think there is an opportunity there, but it's hard because you want to balance it without just like I said, jamming it down people's throat. Like
right,
there's a balance there. So I'm just I guess curious how everybody goes about doing that. So
yeah,
Well,
that's
with the algorithm thing, man, I guess as somebody that tries to navigate this stuff, just don't, like they said, don't be afraid to post the same video more than once or a different clip of the same thing, because a lot of times they just don't see it.
well, yeah.
Um,
And
you know,
if you scroll and you like, 3 videos with new boots, the next 10 videos, all you're going to see is people trying on boots, and
right,
you don't get really the
right?
content you
It
should
can
when you want to hear songs or something.
it can be really disappointing, to artists when they put stuff out and then it doesn't get seen, and a lot of that, you think, well, maybe folks don't like it, but they didn't have a chance to
just
like it. They didn't
yeah,
they
never got
didn't
a
see it.
chance. Yeah,
Yeah,
So yeah, don't be afraid to show that stuff more than once, even if it's in from a different angle.
yeah.
So make it black and white. Post the same video again.
There you go.
Take the old one
yeah,
down and post it again. It doesn't matter, man.
yeah.
It's all it's a game, in some
Yeah,
ways, but also, just like I said, if people don't have a chance to see it, then they'll never know. So
exactly. Yep.
yeah.
Yeah, it's funny the things that Soul and I end up talking about on the podcast end up showing up in my feed all the time.
Oh yeah.
Great. Here goes some boots that I
Yeah.
don't need
Right.
to buy.
You have 10
Yeah,
ads
for
for
sure.
boots when you're done.
Well,
Right.
maybe some Turnpike and Alex Williams will show up too, so
Yeah,
There you
that'd be
go.
that'll be
cool.
fine.
That'd be all
I'm
right.
down with that.
Um, listening to that, we had that conversation about Alex, and you talked about some of the other folks that you work with and you've talked to. That Geronimo doesn't sound like an Alex Williams song,
Mhm.
but that's cool that y'all can, uh, work together like that, and are on that same on that level. Even though I'm sure Alex listens to all kind of music too,
Yeah.
but still, you know what I mean.
Yeah,
Artist
definitely.
wise, it's cool.
And yeah, and his style varies from mine a lot, just like, Addison's style. And yet, I think if you put
There's a
us three
little.
in a room, we could knock out all different genres of songs. It's really
That's
cool when
cool.
you meet someone like that. And, those guys, I mean, they could write children's books if they wanted to. They can write anything. So it's really cool when you meet those people that just can write.
Well, speaking of that, who's somebody that would be kind of a dream co-write for you?
Oh man, yeah. There's probably too many to list. I would say, obviously, BJ Barham.
Okay.
He should probably be at the top of most people's lists. But I got to go with Evan Felker, obviously, and then I think at the very top of my list would be John Fulbright.
Oh, this It's a
Yeah.
really strong selection of songwriters right there.
Yeah, exactly. This is why
Also, my three
yeah,
with
we're now
Isabel.
friends. We're now really good friends.
Man, John Fulbright, I could put on John Fulbright Jam in the Band videos and listen to only that and just be happy.
Man, I saw some videos from the Hangover Ball that was ridiculous, man. It was,
He's wild.
yeah, yeah, definitely. Um, Tubbo, did you freeze up? I think he froze up. That's funny. I wish the face would have been a little bit more weird if it was going to freeze up.
Yeah.
Well, a question I like to ask, and we'll ask this since he's frozen and stunned in disbelief.
Yeah.
When you do these openers spots, for folks, and you're in those rooms with a few thousand folks like that, or in general, if you're in a room where folks, a majority of the people don't know your stuff, and then all of a sudden you can kind of see their head starting to bob. That they're digging what you're doing. How's that from your perspective?
That definitely gives you even more confidence if you didn't have any going in, especially like I said, I was so nervous that first show with the sold out crowd and everything. And you really feed off the crowd. At least I do. And I think most performers do. So, if the crowd's, not exactly into it, you might not feel as good on stage about what you're doing. But when the crowd's getting after it, it makes me want to get after it, and that just amplifies the show, I think. And to that, we try to play the show, the same if we're playing it to 3 people as if we're playing it to 2,000. But sometimes, we're all human and it's life, so sometimes we're not feeling the exact same if there's 3 people than if there's 2,000. So
yeah, exactly. Yeah, I know what you mean. It's got it can mess with you even if you're trying to not let it. But
yeah.
And then when in that situation you get to meet them at the merch table after the fact, and
Oh
that's,
yeah, it was funny, the second night there in Akron when we were with Parker, I walked out and I said, "Hey man, we were out by the buses," and I was like, "My wife would love to get a picture with you, meet you." He goes, "All right, come on, get on the bus." And I was like, "Oh shit, all right, let's hang out." And so he was super nice, and that was really my first kind of opening couple gigs for a good big crowd. So I didn't expect much. I expected, "Thanks for opening," and that would have been fine with me. But he was super gracious, and he actually sang with my wife on the bus, and it was pretty cool. It was a good experience.
yeah, that's cool.
Also cool for him to do that without the auto tune, right?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Shout out to Parker.
Yeah. One of those nights, I remember his throat was kind of hurting, so he was just down in a bottle of musicians. What is it called? That musician's secret, or it's actually made in caramel. You never heard of that?
Mm-mm.
If you get ever a raspy voice or sore throat, look that stuff up. I might be saying it wrong, but I think it's musician's secret. It's just
Sponsorship opportunities.
I know. Like I said, they're made in caramel. I need to get a hold of them. But.
Yeah, for sure.
Well, all right. You want to do some
Let's
rapid
do some.
fires?
Well, first off, before we get to rapid fire, Isaac, can you tell us about anything that we need to know about for this upcoming year?
We're trying to pack things on. We took a little break and for the holidays and such, and we've had some life events go on, and so we're kind of just getting together now and getting back to the rehearsing, and we're going to try and get in the studio here in these first couple months. And I know March, April, we've got some things going on. I know I think we're out at Ryder's Saloon, which is another cool place I've heard about but haven't gone yet, and a couple places in Kansas, I believe. So we're getting out there, just pretty much keep an eye out on our page and everything, and we're going to try and pack on the shows and pack on the songs.
Cool. Awesome.
Yeah.
All right. Well, this is the rapid fire section. There's first couple are kind of tricky, but then after that it gets super easy. So, Spotify Wrapped came out here in the last month or so. I assume you occasionally listen to Spotify or Apple. What was at the top of your list? Did you take a look, or do you remember?
I did, and it was actually SpongeBob.
Ah, there it is.
Yeah. That was my daughter's favorite, and we have a 9-year-old son who'll be 10 on Saturday, and they like. I'm not gonna lie, if you haven't heard "Where's Gary" by SpongeBob,
Oh yeah, 100% have heard it. One of my boys, huge
That's a
fan. So,
banger.
yep. All right, Desert Island album. You get to take one album with you. Sadly, you're stranded on a desert island. But what album are you taking?
oh, probably Sticky Fingers, Stones.
There you go. Nice.
Yeah.
I don't think we've had a Stones one yet,
No,
have we?
no,
No,
not
that's a
a-
first.
No, that's a first.
All right, cool. You mentioned that you are into history, so this one you might enjoy. But you get to have dinner with one historical figure. Who would it be?
Oh man, that's a good one. Oh, I would probably say, that's tough because there's a lot.
There's a lot to choose from.
Huh. Let's just say I would definitely like to talk to, oh man, probably George Washington. I think the first president would be
Yeah,
an
that'd be
interesting
badass.
conversation. That would be especially all the stories of his, just of his wartime stuff. He was a lot more than president. It's bad dude.
There's a reason why everybody wanted him as president.
Yeah.
All right, so
Then
You're
you could warn him of all the stuff that's happened these days.
I think he'd still probably do everything he did.
No, I'm just mean as far as look, man, it's kind of, it's kind of a shit show these days
little
sometimes.
bumpy.
We're gonna change a little word or two here.
Yeah.
All right, you're starting up a music venue, and you're going to build a green room. The ideal green room. What would you put in it?
All right, dark lights, definitely a fridge. Got to have a couch. Got to have a table so you can eat. And I wouldn't mind, depending on the season. I'm a big sports fan as well, so I wouldn't mind a TV somewhere in the corner. But
Okay.
But
Nice.
other than that, man, green rooms sometimes are hard to come by. So I'd take
Right,
I'd
I
take a
understand.
lawn chair and a cooler.
Sure. You said you're a sports fan, college or pro or both, or
Little of both, yeah.
okay. So who are your teams without getting anybody in trouble? I guess.
Well, I grew up we're about 40, 30 minutes from Purdue University, and my family, some of them went there, and
Oh, nice.
my grandfather was in the John Purdue Club and always had season tickets and all that. So Purdue was always our go-to school.
Nice. All right. Cool.
We got a Purdue fella on the Memphis Grizzlies this year with Zach Edey.
Yep, Zach
Oh,
Edey.
that's
I
right.
went and saw him play a couple times there.
Jason's brother, right?
Yeah, Jason Edey's brother, his
Yeah.
slightly taller brother.
Yeah,
Right,
That's
slightly
like that. It's like that Twins movie with Arnold Schwarzenegger and Danny
Right.
DeVito.
Oh no, I don't know if Jason would want to be Danny DeVito.
All right.
Sorry, Jason.
We'll make it up to you, Jason. He was nice enough to join us once before, so maybe he'll come back. First concert you went to, and then the first concert that you paid to go to. Could be
yeah.
the same thing, but
They definitely weren't. We used to sneak into a place in Indianapolis a long time ago, and we went. It would have been David Allan Coe. Yep, David Allan Coe was the first one,
That's
and
a hell of a first concert.
yeah, and
how many times did he mention himself?
oh, I could quote the amount of times and probably what he said still to this day.
Right.
But
Yeah.
He's one of a kind.
probably first one we paid for, man. We went to the first one I paid for, I guess, because I had to spend some good money on it. We went to the Stones on the 4th of July. I forget what year that was, at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway.
Oh man.
And I was not missing out on that. So that was
Is that kind of your classic rock go to? You mentioned
It is. My mother, she was a classic rock, connoisseur, and we used to play a game where we, if you out by the pool or doing something around the house, if a song came on, you guess the name and the artist, and you get a point. So we always played that, and her stuff was Kansas, Styx, Foreigner, and Stones, and then my dad was more of the Jim Croce, John Prine,
Okay.
the band.
Man, I want to join your family.
Is
That's
that-
awesome. We don't do cool stuff like that.
Just real quick, why the Stones? What about them that?
I honestly, I think I fell in love with just the way Keith Richards played mainly, and the way Mick Jagger's kind of just owned the stage. And, they're kind of one of those eclectic bands where, they've got a country song and they've got a slow ballad and they've got, all the fast rock and roll. They can kind of put on different hats. And I like that, while still being, recognized by by what they are.
Yeah, definitely.
That's a good explanation.
Mm-hmm.
All right, two more, and then we get on to the really, really, really important question.
That's right.
First off, bucket list venue. One venue that you would love to play.
Oh man, I would say probably Red Rocks, man. That's probably a lot of people's answers, but
There's a reason.
yeah, I was gonna say that I've not even been there, but just my friends that have and videos I've seen them, they don't even look real. That looks like a dream.
For sure. And then this one's can be a little controversial, but tribute bands, yay or nay?
Nay.
Okay. Right out of the gate. All right.
I'm a
No
strong
explanation needed, but yeah.
I'm a strong nay on it. Not my thing.
Yeah, cool. All right. Awesome. All your soul gravy.
All right, so this is the before that, make sure you go follow Isaac on all of his socials, and engage with the videos. They're gonna take some time to post videos of their band in live settings. We got a sneak peek on things to come. So when they post those, actually hit the like button, comment, share. If you like it, there's a good chance some of your friends will too. So share it to them. Wherever you listen to your music, make sure you hit the follow button, because it matters to artists to be able to have those numbers to show for venues, and it's unfortunately it's kind of a sales pitch. You got to have that. You got to have those numbers.
Got to have those analytics to show. Yeah.
Yep. So all that stuff really does matter when they ask for pre-saves. Hit that pre-save. It doesn't cost anything, but it helps out the artist tremendously. So, all right. So this question started on episode number 1 as a joke, and now it is a requirement that we ask this for possible sponsorship opportunities from Chattanooga, Tennessee.
Got to keep this thing going.
Exactly. Isaac, what is your favorite Little Debbie snack?
Oh man, I'm gonna have to. Well, now we've had about 6 boxes of the Christmas tree cakes in the house, and they've ran through. But I'm gonna say zebra cakes. That's Little Debbie, ain't it?
Yep.
Mhm.
Yeah, I would. They used to have, when I was in high school, they had the big zebra cake
Yeah.
lunch line, and sometimes I think that's all I ate at lunch. But the zebra cakes are my favorite. I don't think the drowns.
They didn't give us Little Debbie's at my school, and we're in Tennessee. What the hell is that?
That's wild.
We got like an orange.
I don't know if I ever admitted this, Soul Gravy, but I didn't even know about Little Debbie's till I moved to Carolina.
Really?
Yeah, they weren't. We was Hostess where I'm
Hostess, yeah.
Yeah, I
I
grew
was
up.
gonna say I always get confused on who's got what.
Yeah, we got to get like a real master list instead of just what we think we remember. But
Right.
but you know, so far it's been pretty good. Also, just a little story about my week. I had a oatmeal cream pie that was our office bought like this Sam's Club box of oatmeal cream pies, right?
The big one.
And
Yeah.
I threw it up on the dash of the work truck, and I drove all the way to the job site with it on defrost. And I didn't think about it.
Oh.
No. It was good. It was good. When I opened it, it was like the most like falling apart good
Oh, okay.
Little Debbie that I've never warmed up
Like
a
a
Little Debbie
spoon?
before.
I was gonna say that might be a good idea. Maybe even
No, it
roast it
wasn't
over a
that
fire.
it wasn't that messy. It was
Okay.
just
just-
like nice.
Nice and warm. Yeah.
I might have to put
Like
one
apple,
between some graham
like-
crackers. That sounds
Start
good.
sticking those up at the front of my car.
Apparently so. I was like, we had Twinkies in there too. I may try that tomorrow. Not Little Debbie, but you know, whatever.
Yeah, fair enough.
All
They
right,
know where to
Isaac.
find us.
Yeah, exactly. Host us. We can be bought. All right, Isaac, man, we appreciate the time. As always, like I said, make sure you go follow Isaac and listen to his music. And we appreciate you hopping on the podcast, man.
Thanks for having me, man. It was great talking to you guys. Seriously.
Thanks, man. Appreciate it. Good to meet you.
Yeah, good to meet you guys.